flood. So obviously, those were not extraneous roles. Physical scientists, those positions are related to atmospheric and oceanic research, were reduced. Electronic technicians, they maintain critical equipment like next-red radar systems. Yeah, extraneous positions. Sounds extraneous to me, right?
Right.
Those are the things I used to work on when I was at the trade conference.
Oh, there you go. Ty, you're back.
I was busy.
Thank you for, because we need your expertise here. But I just wanted to add a couple of things, but I have the clip queued up. But I do want to say, and because someone said, oh, we shouldn't make this political. The affected area, there's a massive emergency response, 14 helicopters, drones, hundreds of personnel employed by Texas Division of Emergency Management. 237 have been evacuated, rescued, including 167 by helicopter, and a state of emergency was declared in several counties. President Trump pledged federal support, stating, "We'll take care of them." I just wanted to add that.
I wanna help our friend in the back again. I know exactly what extraneous means. I deal with words. It's what I do all day. It means irrelevant or unrelated to the subject being dealt with. So I don't think meteorologists in all those positions that I pointed out are unrelated or irrelevant in this discussion. Continue, Sam.
No, I was just saying, did Trump say we'll take care of them when California was being devastated by fires? I don't think so. But Ty, I'm about to play this clip from Jonathan, John Morales. He's a meteorologist in South Florida. I've mentioned him before.
Oh, yeah.
LeBron has mentioned him before. This is a clip from 3 weeks ago. Give me a thumbs up if y'all can hear.
Has been a voice of calm and storm for years. It's coming straight to us. Now the NBC6 meteorologist is going viral for a different kind of forecast.
Remember that? It was about 6 years ago, confidently. I went on TV and I told you, it's going to turn. You don't need to worry. It is going to turn. I'm here to tell you that I'm not sure I can do this here.
His warning at the start of this year's hurricane season is sobering. He says that slashing federal funding within national climate circles will impact this year's weather forecast nationwide.
Because of the cuts, the cutting, the sledgehammer attack on science. We may be flying blind. We may not exactly know how strong a hurricane is before it reaches the coastline.
Under the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, the Trump administration's cuts to NOAA and the National Weather Service making headlines this spring. According to NBC News reporting, several key sites have now reduced or suspended weather balloon launches critical for severe weather forecasting, while the National Weather Service now down almost 600 workers after layoffs and buyouts. The cuts prompting 5 former heads of the National Weather Service to write an open letter saying, quote, "Our worst nightmare is that weather forecast offices will be so understaffed there will be needless loss of life."
It is absolutely a public safety. Weather in this nation should not be a political issue. We have to be able to identify it, forecast it, provide that information to the people so that they can take necessary precautions as the very storms are developing.
Responding to concern, the National Weather Service tells NBC News they're now hiring more than 100 people to, quote, "stabilize operations across the country." But the Trump administration claims the agency will have enough resources, despite criticism otherwise.
We are fully staffed with forecasters and scientists. Under no circumstances am I going to let public safety or public forecasting be touched.
As NBC News meteorologist Chase Kane reported last week, a new bill recently introduced in Congress would protect Weather Service workers from future federal budget cuts and classify them as critical to public safety. Last October, Hurricane Milton exploded in size from a weak tropical storm to a deadly Cat 5 in just 24 hours. Morales then famously emotional over what the storm's rapid intensification would mean for human lives.
I apologize. It's horrific.
Writing in an article, "Am I worried? You bet I am." Warning that erratic weather from climate change is on a collision course with a slashed forecasting industry. Marissa Parra, NBC News.
The fact that that man came out of his mouth and says, we're fully staffed, I just had to fucking laugh.
Well, it's how you see it, Ty. I mean, technically speaking,
Right, because I work, you know, on the ground. When you see some, because it's not the management that's saying we're fully staffed, because they have to answer in incredibly difficult situations, because they got to answer for every fucking thing, and you just can't, and they know it. But they're under so much immense pressure. You know, my manager's like, we understand the short staff and all these things, but just have a situation that I can answer to every 8 o'clock in the morning. They would say, why does this get done? And why does this get done? Like, bitch, there's nobody there. How about that?
well, we were told that the staff cuts, the cuts towards NOAA wasn't towards staff, it was critical equipment. So that's why the budget cuts were coming from there, which then it came back and told them that was grossly not the case. And go from there. It's just so much miscommunication, but you know, again, we're going to have an administration that's going to not take any responsibility and then just blame the organization it cuts off because apparently it's just easier that way. It's not my actions that got us in trouble. It's, you know, the people who are gutted. Like Ty said.
Well, I can tell you, February 27th, by executive order, Trump, he had over 2,000 NOAA employees, which is approximately 20 to 27% of staff, were either terminated, offered buyouts, or fired from NOAA. So that's 20 to 27% of the total staff. I don't know if that had anything to do with this situation, but to think that that's not going to impact any upcoming potential weather tragedies, people spoke of that thing.
Yeah, that makes sense now, because it makes sense now our unions were able to get the politicians to reverse their thing when it comes to federal employment, because you see how DHS and a couple other agencies are quote unquote they're no longer unionized, but this shit would be even more exacerbated if that was the case.
Yeah, but why are we surprised? I told you guys, not you. I mean,
yeah, I'm not.
On page
not at all.
600, yeah, page 6. I mean, they tell you, they don't even hide it anymore. On Project 2025, page 624, there's a whole paragraph devoted to NOA and NWS, and they state right there, the last line of that paragraph, saying they're going to defund and what's the other word I said? I'm driving right now. Defund and I forgot the other word. NOA. It's right there.
It's science. That's just my easy answer.
Okay. Jason Enel, Sergeant with the Sheriff's Office.
So is Ulrich Baldwin going to come up and tell us who lies getting? I think he's a troll one. I think he's a troll one follower for our website. Gotcha. He obviously can't be who he really is, you know. Yeah.
Free speech. Okay. What's going on? Like, I think pictures.
Sort of like them people that wear masks over their face to do their job, you know, when they couldn't wear a mask when COVID was going on. Yeah, those. Okay.
So, you have full First Amendment rights, free except for everything. I can't speak for the town.
Yeah, that was a mouthful, April. They couldn't wear their mask during COVID, but they can only wear it during this job.
Oh, they love it during this job. You ain't gonna catch them without a gator. You know, don't they call them things gators? and people like that, they all up in that shit. You won't see one without it.
Right, somebody, I forget who it was, here last night saying 2 people in their family were affected. Was the doctor responsible? 2 people lost their jobs because they wouldn't wear a mask.
Oh, now they can go be pretend I say this.
Yeah. Pretend that part.
Can they use your house to trial our new pop-in roofs? We're looking for homeowners within Valentine.
There is some serious devastation, going on in Mexico over this cartel gang war. I'm assuming it's because El Chapo's here and all that stuff, but they, I guess I'll just put the link in the chat, but it's gruesome, y'all. Very gruesome.
I don't know. I couldn't even see myself. I tried to imagine being married to one of the senators.
That part, I forgot you. Well, but then how do you square that with the accusations that he's also anti-Semitic? I mean, again, I'm not putting forth one point of view or another. I'm just saying that it's very hard to discuss what's real. And Abby, I understand that you're always quoting the New York Post and other sources that generally are right of center. And I would like to see something that was, if there is such a thing, unbiased.
Yeah, I haven't done enough research on him regarding the anti-Semitism. I know that throughout his political career, Donald Trump has been accused of being anti-Semitic many times. However, A, I see no evidence whatsoever about lack of support for Israel, and B, his daughter converted to Judaism to marry his son-in-law. But you're right, Dr. Francine. Sometimes it takes a lot of time to do the appropriate research to make a decision based on critical thinking. These days, it's far too easy just to go over the headlines and think that you've really done the research. And with that, Dr. Francine, would you like to take a minute or so and say goodbye, and we'll give you a first-class escort to the VIP.
Absolutely, and goodbye, everybody.
Dr. Francine, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you. And now let's go to El Normo. El Normo, would you like to say goodbye?
Sure. And in so doing, I'd like to return to a recent remark of Dr. Francine, where she said it's hard to know what's true.
Yep.
I think somebody in here echoed that. And in response, I want to say that's precisely the problem we find ourselves in, the pickle, because of the fragility of our institutions to disintermediation in social media. So if we have 100 different YouTube videos, TikTok videos, Instagram reels, and Facebook posts and yo-yos on Clubhouse telling us different things. How do we understand? What are we to latch onto as you put it, true or real or unbiased? Up until recently, America had developed an attempt, at least in the press, to offer unbiased reporting, mediated by editors and executive producers and so forth, who were trained in news judgment. They tried to tell the story in an unbiased manner. And we've lost that professionalism in the news business. We've lost it in our institutions of higher learning, in the academy. We've lost it in our lower schools. We've lost it in politics. There is barely an attempt anymore to tell the truth, I would say. And we've lost it in the law and the judiciary. So we're in a bind now, because only a few people know how to triangulate, consider all the stories, and figure out what the truth is. Most people can't do it, or won't do it, or both. So I leave you guys with that thought about the importance of critical thinking.
Thank you, Norm. First class escort to the VIP. Before we move on, I strive to all of the nieces and nephews, and especially the Mod Squad, that based on what Norm just said and what you've heard me say time and time again, I will always, always, always do my best to use my critical thinking abilities to distinguish fact from opinion. And when I know it's not a fact, I will give you my opinion. And when I believe it to be a fact, I will state it to be a fact. And if somebody corrects me, I will be the first one to admit if and when I am wrong. Let's go to Hero. Would you like to say goodbye? Ooh, you're in the Matrix there, brah.
Goodbye.
Yeah, we heard that. Goodbye. Thank you very much. First class escort to the VIP. Andrew, actually I was going to say Hero's not a neighbor to the north. He's visiting the north. Andrew is a neighbor to the north. Andrew, would you like to say goodbye?
Yes, two things. First, in regards to the bias, I prefer the word balanced over bias, but that's fine. But I did see an article yesterday which kind of just throws it. It's not just the media here that we're talking about. This was a politician in the UK who, I believe, they have the Reform Party, which is under Nigel Farage, had gained seats for local government. And this one person had said that he had removed all of this literature, if you will, from a children's section, if you will, of the local library that was in regards to sexual identification, all that kind of stuff, trans, etc. And so he made this bold statement that he had removed this stuff, and in effect what it was, the truth was that it was never there in the first place. So, if you get lies coming out from your politicians, then, some people tend to believe it. And again, you have to dig deeper to find out really what the truth is. And then I wanted to speak to, just briefly, the piece that Scott played from Bill Maher about the Democrats. And I want to give you a case in point here in Canada. Back in the 80s, the Conservative Party split. They lost an election hugely. They weren't even an official party. But the Conservatives split into the Conservative Party again, whatever, Reform Party, etc. And what this did was it split the right vote. And I think with this announcement by Elon the other day about this America Party, and some of the figures that I saw in terms of support for that kind of having a third party in the United States, it was higher among men and Republicans that would support that than Democrats. And what that would serve to do is split the right vote. And so that would be a good thing for Democrats, as it would turn out. And we have this problem here in Canada all the time. There's really two parties that are left-leaning, the Liberals and the NDP. And just in our last election, some seats here in Ontario were lost specifically because of that reason. The split, or the vote was split on the left, and so the right conservative member got in. And so that's just the way things work in that regard. So be careful with your third party. Anyway, goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
Andrew, thank you for contributing to the show, because without question, the show is better with you than without you. Now we go to the Mod Squad, who do not get first-class escorts to the VIP. They have to stay on stage and do the heavy lifting. JCC, would you like to say about?
Yeah, everybody have a great rest of the weekend. Happy 4th of July for everybody. Sound like it was a good room. I came in late, had things going on. You guys enjoy.
The only thing I regret so far is that Rick Sanchez did not stick around to talk about the AI viral tune. Other than that, great show. Daryl, would you like to say goodbye?
I would. On the Mondani thing, right? So, the little thing about New York politics, it usually tends to be whoever controls the teachers' union controls the election. The teachers' union is a block. They go out in mass numbers and they vote together. The wild card this time is that he's also talking about reduction in police force, and the police union and the firemen's union, they're also all very big unions. And even though Mondani may have secured the primary, Eric Adams right now is saying that he's staying in. And Mario Cuomo, who tried to get the Democratic election or the primary, is also indicating that he may just show up on election night and be on the ballot as an independent. I don't think as a city, Mondani actually has a chance unless the turnout is low. And for a city this size, in the mayoral elections, the turnout is low in comparison to the population. People just don't go out and vote.
Are there 10
right?
million in the city? Are there 10 million?
About 8 million, about
8.4
million people, yeah. And that's across the 5 boroughs, right? So I don't think Mondani actually has a shot. Now, he has raised a lot of money, which means maybe at some point he can run for like city advocate, which here in New York is a very, very powerful position. Like, the city advocate is actually more powerful than the deputy mayor here in New York. So I wouldn't, no one's running from Mondani right now. Lastly, the clip about, Donald Trump about, we send a lot of money. That's bullshit. New York sends its money to itself, right? New York sends money to the federal government. The government then sends back money to us after they take out a piece from Mississippi and all these other fucking places that, excuse my French, I get really passionate about this, right? That don't earn what they should be earning. There are only 13 states currently in this country that send more to the federal government than they get back.
California is one, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys.
Texas might be one.
Florida,
right.
New Jersey. The bedroom states, they call them the bedroom states because a lot of people actually work in New York City, but then they commute in from New Jersey and Connecticut and all these other places. My point is, Republicans are always talking about running the country like a corporation. And if you had a company where 37 of your offices were not pulling their weight, and some people are not going to like what I'm saying, but if you had a company where 37 departments are not pulling their weight, you'd go in and you'd fire everybody who was running that department, because we need to get more states earning. It's not economically sustainable that a country this size by population is being carried by 13 states. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Professor John Mallinckrodt. Would you like to say goodbye? John,
so I just wanted to say amen to everything that Daryl said at the hearing. And
I was going to say it myself, but he said it better.
No, it's great. And by the way, John, if you happen to talk to Rick, because I know you and him commiserate offline, tell him we really wished he would have been here at the end of the show to comment, or in hour number 3, to comment on the AI music. But that being said, let's go to Cora. Cora, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Cora. Let's go to Alfonso. Would you like to say goodbye, Alfonso? Alfonso might be busy IRL with children on this. There we go.
Yeah, I've been quite busy today. Children and everything else, but thanks for the break. See you guys tomorrow.
Absolutely. Violet, would you like to say goodbye?
I hope everybody has a great rest of their Saturday, and I will see everybody tomorrow on Atheist, so bye for now.
Amazing. And last but not least, my XO, my co-captain, the other one who has the keys to the jalopy, as John would say, Reverend Scott. Would you like to say goodbye?
Uncle Steve parting is such sweet sorrow, but I am just thrilled that we'll have another show tomorrow. We can do this for 3 hours again. Looking forward to it. Adios, amigo.
And with that, we are done. I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, wish you and your families a great rest of your Saturday. We will be back tomorrow, Sunday, for Ask the Atheist. The show is run exactly the same way, except people tend to want to talk about God and religion more than Donald Trump, the big beautiful bill, and politics. For those of you that are new, for those of you that have been here for a while, OG, it's a fine balance in the show. I encourage anybody and everybody to send me a back channel about what you like, what you don't like about the show, or about me for that matter. It's a fine balance to satisfy the masses, but also do my best to satisfy the one. We average about, give or take, most of the time about 30 people in the room at one time. We average about 250, 300 people all together. And it takes a lot of work to balance, to satisfy most of the people and satisfy the one. But if it's one thing I know for sure, I'm going to continue to do my best to keep the nieces and nephews and the customer satisfied. Take care, everybody, and be careful on the clubhouse streets.
Home is where I want to be. I'm on the road, so long, my friend. And if you came along, I
think they're real easy.
Don't take it from me, then. Take it from just about anybody else.
We never find data at school when we did experiments. I don't know what they do these days. Need a ban for it.
He also told Alexandra we were in a conversation once. I don't know if it was later at night, but he told her opinion didn't matter because she'd be gone soon anyway with her health problems. That was after when she'd had her stroke.
Wait,
Yeah.
great, and he's not blocked.